I just saw your message and I was about to send you a message right now. All right. How's your computer working? Can you hear me, Gladys? Gladys, how are you this evening? Can you hear me? Yvonne, can you hear me, Yvonne?
Yes, I can.
Are you able to see the globe features at the bottom of the screen?
Yes, I'll be able to see it. Yes.
And to be able to activate on? Okay. So I think we just have one parent who's joined us right now. And so we'll give a few minutes for other parents to join us. I don't know if Gladys is able to hear us because she seems to be frozen.
Can you hear
So-
me, Dr. Quintana?
Yes, I can hear you. So good evening to the parents who are logging in. We are just working on some technology with one of our translators, and we are giving parents a few minutes to get the time to log in, and we will then get started.
So, Dr. Quintana, right now I'm clicking Chinese. I'm not sure if you can hear me. So if you can hear me, that means the features is not working.
I'm going to go back and activate you again.
Okay, okay.
Can you hear me? That's great. Okay, I see the globe at the bottom. Can you see it now? So my screen says all languages have been activated. Gladys, are you okay? You look frozen again. We apologize to the parents who are joining us. We're trying to just troubleshoot some technology so that all our translators are able to communicate with everyone. Yvonne, can you see the screen? Okay. So it is almost 5 o'clock. We are going to be honoring all of our busy parents' time and getting started soon. And so thank you for joining us this afternoon, this evening. So hello, everyone, and good evening. I'm Dr. Quintana, the principal of Hillcrest Elementary. And joining me this evening is Ms. Yvonne Ip, our office assistant, who is translating for us this evening for all of our families in Mandarin. We also had Ms. Gladys Adame earlier on here. I think her screen is a little bit glitching today, this evening. But if you are a family that needs translation in Spanish, please let us know at the bottom of the chat box. If you have questions, you can use the chat feature to ask questions, or you can unmute yourself and let us know what your question is, and we'll be able to answer your questions. We have a lot of information to share, but in case we don't answer something, ask us or chat it in the box and we'll be able to answer it today. So everyone is here at this meeting because you're all interested in applying into the dual language programs that we offer here at Garvey School District. And so we are going to basically give you information about the two main programs we offer. We offer Spanish dual language and Mandarin dual language. So your choices are Duff and Hillcrest for the Mandarin dual language program, and Dewey Elementary if you are interested in enrolling your child in Spanish dual language. We're going to be covering these 5 objectives tonight. We're going to explain exactly what does it mean to be in a dual language plus program. What are the benefits, why you should put them in a dual language program. We're going to share what the design and models look like so that you become familiar of what to expect. We're also going to talk about what are some of the challenges that students encounter when they're in dual language programs, and also what is the commitment? What does it take for you as a parent and for your child to succeed in the program and become bilingual? And then we're going to go over the application and the enrollment. They are not the same thing. Sometimes our families think that just by sending an application, they automatically are inside the school for next year. The application means you are accepted into the program, but the enrollment is after you decide that, yes, you do want to come, then you do the registration that your child will then enroll into the school. So there's 2 parts to this. So we're going to get started and explain what exactly is Dual Language Plus. Some of you might have been watching videos or have been maybe looking up at other schools or school districts and wondering what's the difference between Dual Language and Dual Language Plus. So you'll see that for us, the little plus is very important because that's what makes us different and a lot more rigorous and more challenging than the programs in other school districts. We offer 3 languages. That's what makes us plus. So dual language means that your child will be learning English and a target language, be it Mandarin or be it Spanish. And our job is to help them develop proficiency in both languages so that they can become bilingual. Dual language also works on academics. So it's not just language in Mandarin, but we also work on academics in Spanish and academics in Mandarin. That means that the children will be doing math, they will be completing science, social studies in a different language other than English. But we are targeting Chinese Mandarin and Spanish. So if you are looking for an additional language, this is your program, because that means your children will be learning all 3, English, Chinese, and Spanish. That's what causes us to be plus. So why should you bring them to Garvey, and why should you bring them to Hillcrest or to Duff Elementary or to Dewey Elementary? We have done lots of research. We have spoken to people at the universities. We have visited the high schools, and they have given us all of their information that they have discovered that the students who do the best at the high school, the students who get into all the universities and colleges, tend to be students who are bilingual and who have come from dual language programs and are very strong in multiple languages because they were able to learn different subjects in different languages. So they have developed more proficiency in all their areas and have developed a lot of skills that are necessary for high school, college, and to have careers of the future. So that's our number one reason why we know that there's power in dual language programs and that they're very beneficial, and that all of our children who graduate as bilingual students tend to outperform and get better jobs than other students. And so we're looking at how do we develop bilingualism and biliteracy. For some of you, you might think that looks the same, but is it the same? Bilingualism is when we can all speak to each other in another language, but we might not necessarily be able to read and write in the other language. So a student is considered bilingual if they're able to speak another language. But if the student is able to read, write, and do math in another language, now the state of California considers them biliterate. And they get a special seal on their diploma of high school that already gives them lots of opportunities for colleges and universities, because not a lot of children grow up to be biliterate in California. So that is one of the big programs that we are trying to promote and push, that all of our students not only stay at being bilingual, but transfer into being biliterate students. And that's where it's important for us to promote the language, promote the heritage of all of our students, promote the culture, so that children grow up learning that it's important to know languages, to appreciate family, to appreciate cultures and the languages that families speak at home. Because sometimes we have our little ones who grow up and they're trying to shy away from being able to speak Spanish, or they shy away from speaking Mandarin. But these are languages that we have to show them the love for, because it is the language of our families. It's the language of our loved ones. So we want students to be very successful, but we also want them to be proud of who they are and proud of all the things that they can accomplish. And so that's where we are working on cognitive competencies, because we really want them to not just know how to do math, English, reading, Spanish, and mathematics, but we also want them to be able to have conversations and learn about the cultures of the countries that speak Mandarin and of the countries that speak Spanish also. We want them to know a lot about the world as they're coming through our schools. And so we want them to be multicultural. And we want them to have not only understanding, but appreciation, that the more languages we speak, the more cultures we know about, the better our world will be, because we will be open-minded and we would be able to appreciate ourselves. So what does this look like when you enroll at our schools? If you choose to go through the Spanish program, the Spanish English program, you would be considered a 90-10 as a kindergartner. That means that 90% of your day is going to be spent in Spanish and 10% of your day is going to be in English. And then you're still going to get a third language. So you are learning Spanish the majority of the day, then you're going to be switching to English, and then you're going to be getting Chinese also as part of your curriculum. If you belong to the Spanish English program, you will be receiving Chinese instruction 4 times a week for 30 minutes every single day. So that means that your child is going to come home knowing 3 languages by the time they finish the program. And we begin them with 90% of the day in Spanish. Then as they get older, it goes to 80%. 70, and you will notice that by the time they become fourth graders, they will spend half the day in Spanish and the other half in English. But even if they are in kindergarten, they're all still receiving Chinese 4 times a week. So that's how they're developing all of their languages. So we started with, this is the amount of time in Spanish, the amount of time in English, and then this is what it would look like in a typical classroom. So for example, if I'm looking at kindergarten, which is the very first category right here, you will see that
Si
all of
estamos
this,
viendo el área de kinder. Am I activated, Dr. Quintana?
so everything that is in gray would be the area that is all in Spanish. So if we are in a Spanish program, that means they're going to learn Spanish reading and writing, Spanish social studies, Spanish math, and they're going to do their PE in Spanish. Then they're going to switch to English class, and in English class, they're going to develop their English language, and they're also going to do science in English. Then they're going to switch into Chinese class, and that's where they're going to do cultural appreciation and art. That means they're going to learn either their music or their art or their theater or their drama will all be in Chinese. And so you'll see that every day they get a little bit. And then if you move up to first grade, you start seeing how the area in yellow gets bigger. In second grade, it gets larger. Third grade, it gets larger. And then when they get to fourth grade, they are both the same size because half the day is in English, the other half of the day is in Spanish, and then they still get their Chinese piece where they're learning their culture and their language in Chinese also. So this is what it typically looks like in Spanish, English. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like when they're in their Mandarin class. So for the students who enroll at Hillcrest or at Dove, this is what their program is going to look like. You're going to notice that the program is going to have 50 all the way down. So you're going to see 50, 50, 50, 50 all the way down. And you're going to see the number 50 again. That means that your child will spend half of the day in Mandarin class and half of the day in English. Now, we know that some parents have asked us, why are they going to spend so much time in Mandarin if they don't know anything? That's because Mandarin is a much more difficult language to learn because it's not written the same way as English or Spanish or French or Italian. It doesn't have the regular alphabet letters that we are all used to because the students have to learn characters and they have to learn pinyin in order to be able to pronounce our Mandarin words and be able to read. So they need a lot more time. And so that's the reason why it is designed so that half the day it's in Mandarin and half the day it's in English. And then 2 times a week, they receive Spanish. So all of our students are receiving Spanish instruction and starting in kindergarten all the way through 6th grade, but they're going to get it only 2 times a week. And they get it for 50 minutes 2 times a week. So that means that if you are in Spanish, you get it 4 times a week for 30, 30, 30, 30. But in Mandarin, 2 times a week at 50 minutes each also. So they're going to be well balanced. And this is what it traditionally will look like. So we are going to spend half the day in Mandarin and then half the day in English. That means that the children are going to have 2 teachers. They're going to go with 1 teacher in the morning for half the day in Mandarin, and then they're going to go to their English teacher who's going to spend the other half of the day working with them in English. And then they're going to have their Spanish teacher who they're going to get to see 2 times during the week. This is what a typical schedule looks like. The typical schedule will show you that the third language in Spanish is going to be up here because they're going to get a little bit of Spanish all the time. But you're going to see that half the day they're going to be in English class. And in English class, they're going to get English language arts. They're going to read, write. They're going to do math, science, and social studies all in English. And then they're going to switch classes and then they're going to go to their Mandarin Chinese class. In that class, they're going to spend the day doing math again. So the same math class that they took in the morning is going to get repeated again, but this time in Mandarin. They're going to have science and it's going to get repeated again. And then you're going to see social studies. It's going to get repeated again, but this time in Mandarin. So the student is learning the same thing twice in 2 languages. So it's not something brand new. They can't tell you, I don't know what I'm learning because it's the same thing that they're learning in English. The only difference, remember, is that in English, they're going to learn their alphabet and their sounds and their high frequency words. But in Chinese class, they're going to be learning their characters and pinyin. And so they're going to be learning how to speak another language. And then the only other difference would be PE, that the children will be doing PE during Mandarin time, because PE requires a lot of directions and oral language. So that's one way for the children to be able to develop their language as well. Do we have any questions, Ms. Yvonne, so far? Both Duff and Hillcrest, we teach traditional Chinese. We're using the Pinyin method, and we use Chinese immersion as our main program. So we are one of the most rigorous programs in all of the area of Los Angeles. If you're coming here to Hillcrest or to Duff Elementaries, the teachers have the same curriculums that we're using at both schools. The only difference is that at Hillcrest, we have dual language that we offer, and we also offer regular English classrooms. At Duff, they only offer dual language. And so those are the big differences between our schools. Our campus at Hillcrest is much larger, and the Duff campus is a little bit smaller. So this is what the schedule traditionally will look like. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the school. So again, Dewey Elementary is our school that is located the furthest down from Monterey Park. They're already in the San Gabriel Rosemead area. They are near the entrances of the 10 freeway. And they will be the ones who teach dual language in Spanish and English, plus the Chinese component. And then you have Duff and Hillcrest that we do Chinese English plus. That means the students, again, will learn Chinese Mandarin and English plus Spanish. So now let's talk about what are the difficulties or challenges. So what makes it difficult at times for students to be learning another language? So sometimes there's frustration, but we have to also remember that even in an only English classroom, some of our children will be frustrated when they're having a hard time learning a lesson or learning how to do their math or learning how to do their spelling and their reading. So this is typical of all children when they are in kindergarten and first grade, because they're barely learning the steps of school and they're barely learning the foundations. As the students get older, that disappears because now they're going to be capable of actually writing and having comprehension and being able to participate in all of the curriculum. So we really recommend that when you see your child be frustrated in the beginning, and this usually is maybe during the first week of school or the first 2-3 weeks, because everything is so new, the student will start falling into the patterns and into the schedule. And then next thing you know, they're going to be like, oh, I love everything, because they're going to be now relaxed. It's always scary even for adults, remember, when you're learning something brand new and you might not be familiar with it. So our children experience the same thing. So please don't worry about it. You know, you need to just give them that extra little support and push, pep them up and tell them, it's okay, you can do it. We're here to learn. We don't have to know everything. Mistakes is what helps us learn and get better. We want the children to just try. So this is temporary. Remember, it's only temporary. We also have parents who get worried that why are their children spending so much time in Mandarin, and maybe they need more time in English. What we have discovered through all of our research is that the more students are learning both languages at the same time, the faster they're going to develop their English. So it might sound a little strange to you, thinking, well, how are they going to know more English if they're spending half in Mandarin and half in English? But it happens with the brain, how it works, that as you activate a different language and you're working in subjects in that language, it produces your mastery language to be stronger. So that's how the students start developing their English faster. And in our Mandarin program, our expectation is for the children to be mastering their subjects in English, but we're also expecting them to learn orally Mandarin and to be able to start having comprehension. We don't expect them all to be experts or to be perfect when they're young in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. And so we give them a lot of opportunity to review, to practice, to try again, to listen to different exercises to look at the models that we have. So we have teachers who are models and are able to pronounce things for the students correctly. We're able to have also programs that the children can use at their houses that will help them develop the language. And so there's different ways of supporting the student so that the student is able to produce. And then we also offer support in English. So the students are never left alone. There's a lot of support that happens in the classroom. And again, remember, the teachers of English are going to repeat the same instruction that was done in Mandarin, but in English. And of course, in a classroom of Mandarin, when the teacher is teaching, if the student looks confused, they're still going to be able to explain in English what the student needs to do, especially if it's an emergency or there's something that the student needs to know for a direction. They're not going to just leave the child only wondering, what did the teacher say in Mandarin? The teachers are going to help them a lot at the beginning so that they start getting used to the routines and start being able to ask also for repetition. And then the teachers will also notice that the students need a lot of practice and repetition and being able to practice what they're learning. So remember, when they're little, they're going to be learning their numbers. They're going to be learning how to add and subtract. They're going to be learning simple words and then more complicated words. The same thing is going to happen in Mandarin. They're going to be learning their characters. They're going to be learning how to read numbers, using their pinyin language to develop it. And little by little, you're going to start seeing them being more and more proficient. And I don't see any new questions, so we will continue.
Excuse me, Miss
Yes.
Dr. Solomon King, right?
Go ahead.
I have a few questions. Allow me, please. The first thing is that you mentioned there's a 50-50%, which is referring to the Chinese program. Now, so for the first part, are they gonna program the class? I understand that both Chinese session and English session is gonna be the same material being taught. On the other hand, will the school time needs to be extended, or it will be the same amount of the time?
It is the same amount of time. There is no extended time after school. And so we have customized the schedule so that they spend the same amount of time in English as they do in Mandarin. And we have adjusted the time for the 2 days when they get Spanish enrichment.
Oh, okay, sure. Thank you. Second question is, I know it's offered to the different grade of the students because I have a 1-year-old. I mean, my son is at the 1st grade and my daughter is at the 4th grade. So they have all the equal access at a different age. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So if a student hasn't started with us in kindergarten and they would like to enter the program, what we do is we give them a language assessment to determine if they have enough language skills to be able to join the classroom at that grade level. In kindergarten, we don't test for language. We allow all kindergartners to start at the same level because we don't expect the kindergartners to know all of this Mandarin yet. And many of them are coming into the program because they don't have any other language except English. So it's a mixture of students that get accepted into the program. So because we want to give as much opportunity to as many students as possible when they're in kindergarten.
And okay, thank you. The third question is, I mean, is this going to be starting the next semester or it's going to be sometime?
If they are brand new kindergartners, they're going to start in August. So right now we are doing applications for the new school year that is for August. But if you have right now currently a child who is in a different school and you're interested in dual language, you would have to contact the district office to see if they have openings at the schools. And if there's an opening, they might be able to have your student then join right now. And that's if they have the language assessment.
Because both my kids are in Monterey Vista. I mean, it's pretty close to Hillcrest. So in this case, like you said, we need to contact Hillcrest and see whether or not there is an opening. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Any information whether or not this class is already full or just checking?
And so it would depend on the grade levels. I don't have the numbers right here in front of me for those dual language classrooms. But we can connect afterwards and we can be able to communicate with you that information so that you have an idea. But at the beginning of the year, we do take all the applications and places get filled up very quickly, and then we have families
Okay.
that are on a wait list also.
Oh, okay. I see where it's right
Yes,
now.
because
Got it. Okay.
because we try to limit the classrooms to have no more than 25 students, because we want them to be
Yes.
small classrooms so that they can benefit. Because if you have more than that, then we have too many students, and now you can't benefit with that small instruction and getting little groups so that they develop the language.
Right. Understood. Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Oh, those are excellent questions. Those are very good questions. And next year, we're going to be rolling into 5th grade. So we're very excited that we're going to now expand to 5th grade. And then the following year, we'll be adding 6th grade. So right now we're kindergarten through 4th grade. Next year, we move into 5th grade, and the following year to 6th grade. And at Duff Elementary, the same thing, they will be adding a 5th grade component for next year as well. And so each year we keep growing and growing the program. So at this year, half of our students at Hillcrest are in dual language. So we have 420 students, and at least half of them belong to the dual language program. So the school is half and half. So we have lots of programs that are being run. Duff has less students because it's a much smaller campus. And so, but they have kindergarten through 4th grade. And Dewey is a school that I think Dewey is even a little bit bigger than Duff. And so we have some students who choose to go into the Spanish dual language program. And then and that's how they're learning their 3 languages. And so they're able to develop also their Mandarin Chinese too that way. So that's what we love about our Plus program, that all children get the 3rd language additional. So there's commitment. So it's going to be academic work. There's going to be a lot of fun for the children as they learn culture and language. But at the same time, we need commitment. So the commitment is that once you enroll your children in a dual language program in kindergarten, that you allow the child to continue all the way through 6th grade so that they become very strong in all of their academics. And that way, when they transfer to the intermediate or middle school or high school, they're able to go into the advanced placement classes and take also Chinese Mandarin as an advanced placement course so that they can already start taking college classes ahead of time. So that's one of the big draws about having the children stay all the way through 6th grade, because that makes them very strong candidates academically for them to be able to succeed and score very high on all of their high school exams. So part of the commitment is that we would love for our parents to be our partners. And that means that we would love for you to attend our parent workshops, come to our parent meetings, to volunteer in the classrooms, and to support the children at home. And some of you might think, how can I do that if I don't speak Mandarin at my house? Maybe at my house, we are a Korean family and we don't speak Mandarin, or maybe we speak Cantonese. We don't even speak Mandarin. But there's different ways you can support. You can support your children by remembering to help them put everything in their backpacks to come ready to school. You can support them by making sure that they go to bed early and not stay up late at night watching TV. There's different ways you can support the children by having the children read to you what they're learning at school. So we don't necessarily need to know all the Mandarin that the children are learning, but we can learn with the children at the same time. If you sit down with them and they're doing their programs on the computer, you can also learn with the children at the same time. Some of the basic fundamentals that are in Chinese as well. And so it all works together if we do it together as partners. And so there's different ways that we can support. We also offer Mandarin tutoring to our students. And so we are excited that we're about to start doing all of our tutoring sessions already next week. And so there's a lot of things that are being in place for our children. We offer Rosetta Stone for students who English is not their first language. So there's many ways that we can support the children and families when they enroll in our programs. And our last commitment is that we would love for the students to give effort. Persistent effort. That means for the children not to give up and not to say, oh, why do I have to learn this language? We want them to learn to love languages and appreciate languages. So that's the 3rd commitment we ask for, that the children try and to just every day give it a try, to put in their best effort, to make it a positive experience for everyone in the classroom. Do they offer Mandarin at the junior high school? They are working on including a class for next year at Garvey Intermediate. I'm not sure if Temple Intermediate will be offering a class, but they're already looking into the programming for Garvey Intermediate so that students can continue if they are sixth graders that are going to go into seventh grade. And then here is a YouTube link. If you are interested in watching that later, you could watch that even with your children. It shows you what are all the benefits of being in a dual language program and what are all the different ways that they see students succeeding once they start growing and moving into the middle school and into the high school. And so it's a fun video that is, appropriate for the whole family to watch. And that way that gives you ideas also of why we are so excited about our dual language programs. So now let's talk about how do you apply to get into the program. So by now, I hope that many of you have seen our application. It is a one-page application that was added into our flyers that we sent to all the homes. We also have the applications that were given to all the Head Start students, and you can pick one up also at all of the schools. All you have to do is go online. We provided a link through the district already for everyone. You can apply online or you can apply in person. Once you complete your form, you turn it into either the district office or to any of our schools, and then we will be able to process all the applications, and there is a time period. So that's the most important piece that we want to share with everyone, that we are right now rolling out applications for all brand new kindergartners and any student who's interested in starting in our program, even if they are in 1st through 5th grade. Again, if your child is in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, we would need to give them a language test first to determine if this would be a good setting for them so that they can succeed. But for kindergarten, we don't do a test, we just do the application for the kindergartners. So who can apply? Anybody can apply. You don't have to belong to our school district. So that means you don't have to live in Rosemead or in Garvey or in Monterey Park. You can, if you're in Montebello, Pico Rivera, maybe you're in Alhambra, you can still apply to our program because we have permits. And so those permits allow you to come to different schools and to different districts. So we're open to everyone who is interested in coming to kindergarten dual language or trying to be enrolled in an older classroom of dual language if they have enough language background. So if you live close to a different elementary school, maybe some of you live close to Dewey, or maybe you live close to Bitely, or maybe you live close to Sanchez Elementary, but you want to come to Hillcrest or you want to go to Dove, then what you need to ask for is an intra-district permit. This tells the district that you don't live next to Hillcrest or Dove, but you want to go to one of those schools. And then the district will give you permission so that you can come to whichever school that is that you prefer. So it's called an intra-district permit. It doesn't take very long to fill it out. You are basically writing where you live and you're letting them know you're asking for a permit because you want to go to the dual language schools. And then the district will say, okay, and give you the permit. Now, what if you don't live in the area and you're coming from Alhambra or Montebello or Pico Rivera? You're going to need to go to your own school district and you're going to ask them for a permit, but that permit is called inter-district permit. That means you're going to go to the district and you're going to ask them permission to come to Garvey School District. And if you explain to them that they are going to be enrolled in the Dual Language Plus program, the school district will say, okay, and give you the permit. If you tell them, I need them to come to Hillcrest because my job is closer to Hillcrest or my daycare center for my children is closer to Hillcrest, they'll give you permission. So you have to give them the reason why you need the permit, and then the district will say, okay. And some families have asked us, what about if my student has an IEP? Maybe they receive services like speech, or maybe they need to go to RSP. We also accept students who have an IEP. You just have to give us a copy of it so that we're able to meet the goals that are written in the IEP and we're able to offer the same support that is needed for your child. So we are open to students with IEPs, with students who live in our district or don't live in our district. So it's open to almost anybody who's interested in dual language. The main component is you need to have the desire for your child to learn a second or third language. That's the main prerequisite. You need to have that desire for your child to be successful in another language. So some of you are wondering, how old do they have to be? So we have the dates here for you. In order for your child to be considered a kindergartner, they need to be 5 years old before September 1st of the school year. So remember, school starts in August. So the cutoff date is by September 1st, they have to be 5 years old to be considered kindergarten. That means that your child was born sometime between 2017 and 2018. Now you might think, but my child is not a kindergartner, they're TK, they're smaller. We also accept TK students, but they have to turn 5 years old between September 2nd and February the 2nd, and they would be considered TKs. So priority will go to kindergarten first and then to TK if we have openings. Keep in mind that both Duff Elementary and Hillcrest, we probably will have about 50 openings at each of the schools for kindergarten. But even if you're added to a wait list, we don't want you to give up or think, oh, forget it, we never got in, because sometimes families get accepted into the program and at the last minute they move away or they change their mind. And then that means that an opening is there again for another family. So anybody who's added to our wait list, we call them back immediately also to let them know that we now have an opening. So these are the ages for kindergarten and for TK. If you are going to be applying for a permit, you don't need to have the permit in advance if you are here in our district. So if you already live within our Rosemead, Monterey Park, and Garvey district, you can give us your application and then later get the permit. But if you are coming from far away, you first have to get the permit. So that's the only difference. So if you are at Bitely, you go to the district office. It's the district office who gives you the permit. And then you tell them you want which school it is that you're going to want to go to. So the permits are not given at the school, they're given at the district office, and we're going to give you the address of the district office right now too. So all permits are given only at district offices, because they get reviewed by the superintendents of each of the districts to find out where are all the children moving to what schools, so that way they can determine how many openings they have at all the different schools also. And I think we have another question about Woodcraft also. Is there an after-school program at Hillcrest and Duff? Yes. We both offer Woodcraft Rangers after school, which is open to all students who are in dual language classes. They get priority to get into the Woodcraft program. And then Woodcraft is open from 2:35 all the way until 6 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. On Wednesdays, when is our minimum days, the students start at Woodcraft right after school from 1:35 all the way until 6 o'clock. So yes, we both offer the programs, and the programs have many students involved in many clubs, but then our school also offers after school clubs and tutoring also as well. Let's see, I think there's a question about applications. You can turn in your application already today. As soon as you're ready with your application, you can turn it in. We already are accepting applications. So what does the application look like? Today is the official day that applications have opened up, and you have all the way until February 28th. That means you have about a whole entire month to decide if you want to apply to a Dual Language Plus program. You can apply and change your mind later. Even if you get accepted into the program, you can always change your mind before school starts, because you are the parent. It is your decision at the very end of what is best for your child before kindergarten starts. So we highly recommend that you turn in your applications as soon as you can, because these are very popular programs and they fill up very fast at Duff and at Hillcrest. I know that if you're interested in the Spanish program, that the Dewey School is also filling up pretty quickly with their application process. So you first have to remember, complete the application. This is where you can find the application if you want to do it on the computer, or you can pick an application in person, and then you can either turn it in through the computer or drop it off here at the school or take it to the district office. And here's the address for the district office so that you can go ask for your permits also, if that's where you need to go. So if you need a permit, this is where you'll go. And remember, if you don't live in the Garvey School District area, then you would have to go to the other school district first, get a permit, and come turn it into us so that we know that that other district gave you permission. This is what the application looks like. You need to put in your child's name, their first name, their last name, when they were born, your name, last name, your phone number so we can call you. Where is the school of residence? Is Hillcrest your school of residence? Is it Bitely? This is where you write the name of the school that is closest to your house, and then your email, and then where you live. And then these are your three schools, Dewey, Duff, and Hillcrest. If you're only applying to Mandarin dual language, you only look at Duff and Hillcrest, and then you put which one is your first choice. Is it Hillcrest or is it Duff? So then you just number it 1 and 2. And then that way we're able to process all the applications. If you're only interested in Spanish dual language, just click on Dewey. Don't put anything else. Just say you only want to go to Dewey. But if you're interested in any of the schools because you want your child just to be in dual language and you are okay with it being in Spanish or in Mandarin, then you can say what are your choices between all three. And then at the bottom of the application, it's going to give you these questions. Question 1, do you understand what is the commitment and the support that a parent can do for a dual language student? So we've talked about it and you'll say yes and put a little check. Then it's going to ask you, does your student know that they're going to come to a dual language program and they need to put effort and try? And hopefully you will speak to your little 5-year-old or your 4-year-old and let them know you're going to go learn Mandarin, you're going to learn Spanish, so that they know that that's what they're going to come do. And so then you can put a little check there. Did you already verify the age of your child? So if you already verified the age of your child, you're going to put a little check there. And then you remember that there is a timeline, that you are aware that these are the dates of the applications. So then you put a little check right there. And know that we always monitor the children. We're always checking to see how are they doing academically, how are they doing developing their Mandarin. The teachers are very quick at forming parent conference meetings and asking for meetings if we need to talk to you, and if we also need to do more support for the students. So you will always have communication with all of our school staff. We're always here and available. We always have amazing office staff like Ms. Yvonne and Ms. Gladys, who are always helping families. So don't be shy, call us, come in person, send us an email. We will always have a response and we'll be able to help you in any of your questions that you may have. So the next part is, when will you know if you got into the program? By April 3rd, we will be notifying all families if you have been accepted officially, and you'll receive a letter that says, congratulations, you have been accepted into the Hillcrest Dual Language Program. Or it will say, congratulations, you have been accepted into the Dewey Language Program or the Duff Language Program. So you'll receive a letter, an official congratulations letter, and then that is the letter that you are going to then use to do now the registration of your child. So you're first going to be notified, and then you decide, yes, we're going to come to this school, or no, we've decided to change our mind. So that's the reason why it's 2 parts. Part 1 is apply, get the notification, and then part 2 is, all right, now register and enroll your children. And Yvonne, Gladys, and our office manager, Lisette, are experts at helping families enroll and register the children. So they will help you each step of the way of how it is that we enroll and register children into the schools. So enrollment is online, but we can also help you in person. And enrollment will be in April and May. So that is when we start registering all the students for the next school year. So all of your children each year will need to be enrolled. So even if you come to Hillcrest as a kindergartner, at the end of kindergarten, you will have to fill out the paper that says, yes, I want to stay at Hillcrest and continue. The children don't automatically roll over into all the classrooms, because we do it through the computer to verify that everybody knows all their rights and everybody knows all their paperwork. So we're always going to be in communication with you. So once you get accepted, you'll be invited into either a virtual orientation or an in-person orientation. depending on what are the health guidelines at that time. And we will go over how to enroll your child. And then we're also going to be giving tours of our school. So if you're not familiar with Hillcrest, we are going to be announcing on what day in the first week of February, we will be giving school tours to all new families that are interested in coming to Hillcrest. And so we are going to send out our invitation, and we hope that we'll be able to meet many of you in person so that you can come take a look at what the school offers and visit the classrooms. So that's the majority of all of our information. Do we have any families that have additional questions? So we have a person asking about after-school tutoring. Yes, we do have a limit on after-school tutoring. We keep the groups very small. We try to have no more than 5 to 6 students in after-school tutoring so that they really get a lot of help, because we want them to get as much individual help. So we keep it very small to about 5 to 6 students per teacher after school. Yes, we do offer tutoring in Mandarin, and we're offering tutoring in Mandarin in all the grades. So we have from kindergarten through 4th grade, Mandarin tutoring, and we offer tutoring in English as well. So some students might need tutoring in Mandarin, some students might need it in English, and some students might need it in both. So they might have to come to different days for different type of tutoring. And then we also offer support through computer programs for both Mandarin and for English. So there's different ways that we can support the children, and that way they will be successful. And we also want to be able to help parents so that you can help your children. Miss Yvonne, any other questions? So we hope that most parents have questions. This is your chance for, you can ask us anything, even about the food we offer. Go ahead.
Karen. Go ahead, Karen.
Go ahead, Miss Carol.
我想問下咧，係咪本身有一個喺學校嘅話咧，細嗰個嘅報名嘅話，佢係咪會優先㗎？
Are you able to answer the question, Yvonne?
Okay, thank you.
Do we have other parents with questions?
I have a question. In the event the child is out sick, let's say for a couple of days, the possibility of them getting behind is there, right? I'm thinking
That is a possibility, but we're also working so that we can support them while they're at home.
oh okay.
Say example that they might be quarantined. Because
Right.
that happened a lot last year.
Uh-huh.
So what the teachers do is they prepare a lot of work for the children so that they can take things to their home. And if they're not too sick and they're able to do their work, maybe they're in another country because they had to go for a family emergency, they prepare materials and then they're able to take those with them. And then we try to give them simple, different activities so that they can produce some of their Mandarin homework too. And
Okay.
if there's somebody who needs to stay at home for a long period of time, we try to provide them an online tutoring support so that they can at least log in once a week on the computer and get help with their Mandarin.
I'm just asking because my daughter, she's gotten sick quite often this school year. And I mean, she's been out up to like 2 weeks because at Head Start, they don't want them with anything. And I mean, and I understand. So that would be my only concern. And then also, do you offer or do you have resources that we can look at as a parent who doesn't speak the language but would want to help their child?
Yes, and so if you come the day of our tours, we will share the material so that you can look at them also while you're here in person.
Okay.
So that's why we're going to offer 2 different days where families can come and tour the campus, especially as you're thinking of these are decisions that you're making for your children.
Right. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you for answering them.
Dr. Solomon? I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, hi. I just want to see now. I want to make sure I understand hear you correctly because my kids is within the same school district. If I apply right now, I don't need the permission until then
They
they
get
got
accepted.
accepted. Then I go to the school district just to get some sort of inter transfer permission.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Then the second question is now in case it didn't work out. For instance, my daughter's 4th grade. I mean, she can learn. I mean, she already knows some English, but in comparison with the same age students being on the dual program, she might not be as good, and then she couldn't catch up. If she needs to, let's say, give up, and how do things work out? What scenario?
So let's say that there's a family that we've already tried, maybe we've already done tutoring, we've tried different systems of support and they're not succeeding. We then would hold an SST meeting to review the academics to see what else can the school do to support the child. And if none of those supports are working, we then have a meeting with our superintendent to explain that maybe the student needs to go back to English only. And so we could have those conversations. It all depends on a need basis because every student is different, every family. We try all kinds of avenues to support the child so that they succeed. But you're right, there might be a student who maybe at the very end, even though they've tried, they might need to go back to English class only. So that that is always a possibility. And so that's why we review each student and family individually and why it takes a meeting with the school and all the experts. And then once we have tried, then we go to the superintendent and have another meeting before we can make the decision to move the student.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Now, also, just to check, it may not be a very good question. In your best knowledge and in your information, the student who is being on the dual program, what's the percentage of the failure rate, if you know?
Of the failure rate?
I mean, there are
it's a
students.
little hard to determine when they're in kinder, first and second, but in 3rd grade, they're doing very well. Our cohort has successfully transitioned into 3rd grade and 4th grade, and they scored very well on their state exam. So that means that they had a lot of mastery of their subjects, even if they were being taught in Mandarin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear the benefits, even that, they're on the dual language. It seems they learn better for some reasons, as a fact speaking. The concern I have is because I didn't pay much attention. I wish I had known this program sooner, not than right now. So as much speaking, my daughter's already 4th grade. And if she goes to, maybe chances for her to go into the dual program, it will be on the 5th grade. And in that case, she might have a lot of challenges because the same people who are on the dual program that been learning Chinese will be way better. So she's gonna have a lot of challenges with trying to catch up. I mean, she's doing good in the school right now, but in this case, have you ever seen this kind of student doing the similar thing like my daughter will do, assuming she's gonna be accepted? Then how much chance she have to be succeed,
Well, this year we accepted 2 4th graders that had never been in our dual language program, and they're doing really well. And then we accepted 1 new 3rd grader, and we're offering them support because they had missed a lot of school last year. And I think it depends on if they had a lot of good attendance last year, or if they missed a lot of school because of COVID, then we still have to catch up some of the students a lot because they were out a lot. So even if they've been in our program for many years, the COVID pandemic affected many of our students. So we've done a lot of review this year with many of them. And so there's a lot of them right now are starting to show growth again all over again because they're hearing so much Mandarin exposure again. And so that made it a little tough, the pandemic, having them be on the computers all the time and trying to learn that way with their teachers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not really worried about the Chinese in the way for the support because we at home, Chinese is our primary language. So, that's a big help. But the kids just, they kind of allow me to say, hate the Chinese. So I wanted them to have an environment, force them to learn a bit. I mean, at least trying, you know. So thank you so much.
And our classrooms, when they start getting in, are much smaller in dual language than in regular English classroom. That's one of the big positives too, that all dual language classrooms are smaller.
Oh, that's a big benefit. Thank
It
you.
is a huge benefit. And then we always have additional instructional aids that help them also.
Oh yeah, I see there's a lot of resource to assist them, which is, I want to say better than just a regular class.
Yes, and so and there's a lot more pieces that come. They get, you know, additional funding for different programs that they do, or for different excursions that they may take on, or for cultural events. So there's additional funding for that group of students.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a better resource behind, put in this way.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, our dual language students reap a lot of benefits.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, I got a quick question. So my daughter is in Bali right now, and then if I send out the application and didn't get accepted by the program, will she also lose her registration at Bali, or she will not?
No, she stays at Bitely until you tell Bitely you're gonna enroll them at Hillcrest.
Got it, guys. So basically,
Her spot is secure at Bitely until the moment you call their office and say, I would like to transfer her because she's going to go to dual language.
Got it, guys. So she'll basically going to be, so it's like once she accepted, I have to tell Bailey that will, you know, starting August, then she will go into Hillcrest.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Sounds good.
And then as we're talking about school of choice, once your child belongs to the dual language program, then they're guaranteed to stay at Hillcrest all the way through 6th grade. But then that becomes part of the challenge, that if you then decide that you no longer want to be in the dual language program, the possibility of you staying at Hillcrest might not be very high, because if your school is not necessarily Hillcrest as resident school, and we don't have any openings, you might have to go back to your original school. So that's one of the drawbacks when students are thinking about changing programs, that when you pick programs of choice, you're able to stay at that school you choose for as long as you want to stay at that school. But once you start moving out of programs, you might not be able to keep your spot and you have to go back to your original school. So that's one thing we do want to put out there to everyone, because it has happened in the past where we've had families who say, well, you know, I can't come anymore to Hillcrest because it's too far. We're going to have to, you know, we're going to need to, you know, drop out of our dual language program. And so that means they're going to need to go back to their original school. And so that can happen too. It looks like that most of our questions got answered. I'll take a quick look at the chat.
Questions.
The average size is no more than 23, 24 students in a classroom. At the highest we've grown has been 25. And so we try to keep it at under 24. And we do have classrooms that sometimes are only 18 students in the classroom. And so we're, you know, we want to keep it small. And when there's a lot of popular demand for the, you know, we might be able to open an additional classroom also in dual language. But that depends on how impacted we are at both Duff and at Hillcrest. But I know that each year we always have a wait list. And so we try to accommodate everyone as much as possible, but sometimes there's just too much demand and not enough spaces for the students.
I think the question is for a regular class, not a DL class.
For the regular class can go up to 27, 34, depending on the grade levels. We've had first grade classrooms that are all the way at 29 students. And that's because it's our only English classroom, not a dual language. And so those can grow very fast and really quickly. But also keep in mind that, say, for example, if you go to Bitely, you might have 6 first grade classrooms and they're all English classrooms. But here at Hillcrest, we have the dual language classrooms and only 1 regular English classroom in each grade level. So we only have one first grade English classroom, one second grade English classroom, one third grade. In fourth grade, we have two. In fifth grade, we have two. And then in sixth grade, we have one. So that's why they get very impacted and start growing very large, those classrooms, because there's no other classroom that the students can move into if they're not in dual language. And our dual language classrooms remain small because we want to give that custom and that differentiated instruction and that one-on-one small group. And so even though it is a public school, we do even more than many private schools in our dual language program. And our teachers and our team go above and beyond, and we are much more rigorous than a lot of the private schools in other areas. And we know, because we sometimes have lots of families from private schools that come take a look at our school. And when we give them the language assessment, their children don't pass the assessment, and they're coming from private schools.
We have one more question that was asked in Chinese. Does the student has priority if their siblings already in our DL program?
I know that their applications probably will have all the pieces in there, and the district does review everything, and so they do consider that. They do consider it. They consider kindergartners before TKs. And if you already have a child enrolled in the dual language program, they do look at your applications also very quickly to see how many children already are in the school and how many openings we have. And so we recommend that you turn in your applications as soon as you finish and complete them, even if you still haven't decided, because it's better for you to turn in your application and get assigned a notice or get put on the wait list than still be waiting, and then you are going to be a very big number on the wait list. So we want to keep it small for you to have a small number. Think of it as once we have reached number 50, everybody else becomes on the lottery. So you want to be able to get into the list of the numbers that are small numbers. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening, and we will be announcing soon on what 2 days we will be opening our campus for school tours so that you can come and be familiar with our school. We will be giving you a tour of what the school looks like, what it feels like to be in the kindergarten classroom. So we'll walk you in those classrooms, but we will also walk you into a fourth grade classroom and a second grade classroom so that you know what that feels like as they start getting older also. So we will invite all of our families who have joined us at the meeting, so that way you can have better information of how to make your decisions. But of course, we hope that you all would like to be Huskies and be part of our Hillcrest family, because we have a lot of amazing programs that we do offer our students. We have all types of clubs and leadership opportunities since they're in kindergarten too, because we also want the kids to be part of the decision making. So we get to have them be in leadership groups already as kindergartners too, because we've learned that the kindergartners are very well spoken and not shy at all. And so we take pride in really getting them developed so that they are going to be the next leaders. Once they go to the middle school and the high school, they're going to take over those schools. So we invite all of you to come and join us and feel what it is to be at Hillcrest. So have a wonderful evening, and please stay safe, and hugs to everyone, because we know it's been a difficult past couple of days in the community, but together everybody will be strong, and we will be able to support all of our families in the community, because everyone is connected and everybody knows someone, so that everybody will feel supported, and not just because our president said it or our vice president, but because our superintendent and our board members, our PTAs are all very involved, and we are all keeping in touch with everyone so that we can keep everybody safe. So thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening. And we hope to see you when we open our school the first week of February for visits.